Okay, as promised, a 20-hour review on the 2020 TX300 fuel-injected two-stroke. Got this bike about 3 weeks ago, did a race on it 2 days after getting it. Been riding it a bit up in the bush here, and it's been fantastic. The engine is a lot more peppy straight off idle than the previous TX300i that I had. A lot more power, a lot more torque down low. Don't know about top end, probably about the same, but certainly a lot more peppier down low, and that's really the only complaint that people ever had about the power on these things, the fuel injected bikes, was the sort of the lack of low end or bottom end power. One thing that I found really strange is that the map switch actually works on this one, meaning that you can feel a difference. It actually turns it back to sort of like the old map of the normal map of the TX300i. Feels about the same sort of power when it's on the second setting, but generally you're going to run it on the setting number 1. Other than that, it's just amazing. Obviously the same dynamics as the last one. The frame is pretty much the same. Linkage is a little bit different apparently, but the suspension is totally different. I ran the air forks on the previous one with the MX Tech mid-valve kit, but this suspension, I have not adjusted it. I've checked all the clickers to make sure that they're all, you know, within settings that they should be, but I haven't done anything to it other than adjusting the preload for the rear shock for my weight and setting the air pressure. This is the best suspension on a factory bike that I've ever ridden. It really is the best suspension ever. It doesn't get put offline, tracks straight, you can hit shit, just doesn't deflect like the previous bikes. Very smooth right through the stroke. You end up using more of the stroke of the air forks on this one. It comes with these nice little rings down here. There we go. These little rings down here that you can push up and see how far a stroke it's going through, but you can usually see that's where it's gone through recently. You know, I've sort of given it a bit of a wash. As discussed before, no factory installed wiring for the fan. I bought the fan off eBay from Europe, a SPAL one, SPAL. It all fitted up perfectly. So if anyone's wondering, yes, the fans do fit on here. But then I had to run a switch, and I didn't have time to get the normal switch that I do for the handlebars, and so I just put a switch down here. Seems to work quite fine. Obviously not as easy to get to as a normal switch, but whatever. It doesn't seem to get the air filter near as dirty on this bike as on the previous bike. The air box, I'm guessing, is designed quite a bit differently, so the flow is different. That's really good. It has been fairly wet here lately, so it hasn't been getting hugely dusty, but it did stay cleaner than what it usually does. The airbox cover is a little bit finicky to get on and off when you're not used to it, but once you've got the technique, it goes on pretty good and doesn't grab your boots and get pulled off by your boots during riding. Really fucking good. Haven't had any issues. It goes like a rocket. As I covered before, the grab handles on the back here actually work now. You can actually put your hand right around and grab the bike to lift it up out of shit. The pipe fits up much better. It's got the better mounts on it now, instead of those other stupid things that they used to have. You actually use the original rubbers on the FMF pipe and then put it all in. It bolts directly to the frame without having that other stupid thing that they had. I've put the soft enduro mousses into it, the racing ones, which are super lightweight. So they're about the same weight as the stock tube, but they feel at around 7 psi. And I run the sticky Metis tyres, which this tyre wasn't new when I put it on, but because it's on my other wheel. This is my wheel that I use for racing, but that's a soft tyre. As you can see, it's pretty soft. It'll burn up through summer pretty quick, because in the hotter weather they go through them quicker. A lot of people said, yeah, no kickstart. Well, never used it on the other bike anyway, so I got no reason to have one. Changed the oil today on it. Came out pretty dirty, but you always get that on the first time you change the oil on a bike. Other than that, the thing's fantastic. Highly recommend this bike to get the air forks, the exact suspension. Really does make a big difference, and it's going to save you a whole heap of money. I'm 92 kilograms and I'm using a stock spring. Came up to sag properly, which has been happening lately on the last couple of bikes. I've got a 45 spring sitting in the cupboard for it, but it still works with my weight with a 42. So that's interesting. The Chirby skid plate's pretty good, like it fits up really nice. Hugs around the corners and does everything it's meant to do. It's got these little wings that come out here, but on the very first day riding, it seems to be a bit of a brittle plastic, so actually cracked it pretty much straight away right through here. You can sort of see there. Yeah, it's kind of fucked it pretty much within the first couple of hours of riding, but since then I haven't had any problems. So I don't know, maybe if the plastic was just a little bit better, a little bit tougher, then it'd be better. Who knows? Yeah, other than that, it's been awesome. Gets about the same, about the same mileage for the tank of juice than what the TX300i did. I felt it might have used just a little bit more fuel, but it was a little bit tricky. It wasn't exactly the same riding conditions. We'll find out tomorrow. We're doing about 125 kilometers, and I'll have to have about 2 extra litres to stick into it to be on the safe side. Plastics do feel better, like just the way it's laid out, not grabbing the boots or rubbing in any specific place. Like previous model would always rub through with your boot right through the bottom of the airbox, so you'd be up for a few covers while you owned the bike. I run a Recluse and a left-hand rear brake, so I've got no foot brake. I've put the Brembo Master on and Brembo caliper. There's the Brembo caliper. Brembos work a bit better with the left-hand rear brake. Doesn't matter really with your foot. And I also run the run the clutch lever as well, because it's very handy to have the clutch every now and again. And I've got a pretty nifty little step-up lever that sort of steps up here, so it's in the right position, because I've got a temporary bracket here that steps down the... I'm getting these machined up, CNC machine, but at the moment this drops the master cylinder for the clutch down, so it fits under the other one. And then if I got to snap it to get up a hill or something, I can just hit that clutch and get it so it can go up the hill. So it's in a pretty good position here now. You can actually use both levers if you have to, like if you want to disengage the clutch going down a hill and the Recluse isn't doing what you want it to do, you can always pull the clutch in with some fingers and use the other finger for the brake. And that works pretty cool. Yeah, other than that, folks, nothing else to report. Any questions, just put them down in the comments and I'll answer them. Yeah, great bike. Is it worth the money? Yeah, well, it's fucking worth the money, because that's what we do. We ride dirt bikes. But a lot of people are saying, well, should I buy the TE or the TX? Depends what your riding is. If you're doing a lot of racing or GNCC or, you know, cross-country racing where you're really going to be pushing the bike, undoubtedly get the TX, because you're going to get the air forks with that, and all you got to do is adjust the air pressure to suit. And then worst case scenario, you're up for a rear spring if you're a heavier rider. But with the TE, of course, you're going to be looking at respringing the front and all sorts of things. I can't really comment on what the 2020 TE suspension is like, because they do use an exact version of the new stuff, but how that's actually set up, who knows. It's usually a little bit more softer than what the TXs are, because the TX is a little bit more of a race bike. I'll probably do a review at around 100 hours, but for now the bike is just 20 hours. It's awesome. Any questions, as I say, put them down in the comment section and I'll answer them. See you later.